Hello everyone, Sosuke Aizen here to relay my master plan of how I escaped the Sayabuse prison, and plan to overthrow both the Quincy's and the Soul King in one fell swoop. Oh, this is great. Would you please stop exploding my head every time I'm trying to get into my monologue? Oh, okay, let me think about that for 2 seconds. No! Okay, this is getting ridiculous. I know I did a lot of stuff to piss you off, but is it really worth being this cruel to me? Dude, you don't even understand, okay? I have a comprehensive list of all the things that you suck at, and I'm going to blow your head up for each and every one of them. And? And what? Oh, nothing. I just thought you were going to pull out like a really long list, or like a stack of papers to, showcase to the audience of how much you hate me. Oh, no. See, funny story with that. I tried to make a Word document on my computer, but the file was too big. I only have a terabyte of space at my disposal, so I'm just gonna keep doing this until I get bored. Oh, I do believe I've gone mad with power. Everybody, Tekking101 here to review Bleach chapter number 601, entitled Verge on Vermilion. It also marks the 100th chapter anniversary of this piece of Nightmare Fuel. Rukia, what'd they do to you? Anyway, chapter opens up with a pretty cool cover page. We have Nimaya Oetsu hanging out there in a plaid jacket. Okay, looks pretty cool, I guess. Maybe Nimaya's Scottish in his past life. I don't know. So the chapter begins with one of those things that Kubo likes to do, where at the end of the last chapter, he recaps it in the first page of this chapter, so we can remember what happened last time, even though we could literally just go back and read what happened last time, and he's really just wasting a page whenever he does this. But yeah, he has Nimaya Oetsu arriving, pulling out that sword. I guess it was originally thought to be like a tank of water. I didn't get to mention it last chapter because of the whole Yuha taking over my review thing. It was that Nimaya just recently forged this sword. Remember when Ichigo pulled out his new Zangetsus, the entire ocean evaporated? I thought it was something similar to that, where Nimaya just finished crafting this sword and it had yet to cool down completely. That's why he had to carry it on that tank of water on his back. But it turns out it wasn't water, it was more like a gelatin type substance. More on that later. But anyway, yeah, he takes out the sword and he points it directly at the elite guard of Yuha and states that the Battle of the Zero Squad officially starts now, as his sword begins to shake and wobble a little bit. That would have been a little bit disconcerting if last chapter ended like that. I think there hasn't been a time when Nimaya has seemed just as badass as last chapter. That was like his shining moment, the first indication in this series, like, holy shit, this guy's for realsies. And, he pulls out the sword and he's really badass, and if one panel had continued, he'd be like, you guys are getting ready to be taken— oh shit, forgot to, fix that. Okay, anyway, yeah, you guys are ready for a battle, right? Anyway, so Sternritter M, the Miracle Herald Valkyrie, of course, shows no disconcerting about jumping right into the fray at Nimaya. Of course, Bleach logic, the guy that jumps into the fray right after somebody does something really cool and foreboding is probably not going to end that well for him. But hey, Herald Valkyrie is new to the game. He probably hasn't read the official Bleach handbook, so, I'll give him a free pass on this one. Nimaya, of course, dodges the attack expertly while stating that the forte of the sword is probably damaged because he hasn't used it in so long. The forte being the opposite end of the sword, basically the area that connects the hilt to the blade. I actually have a little story about this before we continue. This is always back here, backdrop here, but you never get to see it. This is what remains of Ichigo Kurisaki's original Tensa Zangetsu that I purchased off Amazon about 6 or 7 years ago. Yeah, see, it was kind of work of poor craftsmanship, really. The hilt and the sword were connected by this little like one little sliver of metal, and I tried hitting it against a tree, and the thing snapped off right like that. So I guess that's maybe what he's referring to. Maybe the forte is like this piece of metal right here in the hands of an actual craftsman. It would actually be a little bit more, effective than this little piece of metal here. I'm sure the samurai weren't swinging around swords that had like connected by this little, piece of shit. So yeah, this little personal trauma I had going on there. Harold Valkyrie compliments Nemea for dodging, to which he responds, "It's basic etiquette to dodge hugs from another bro, you dig?" Okay, so manga stream translations are well known for adding like jive talk to it, and it doesn't help much that the way Nemea talks is in that fashion. So, I guess this is one situation where you can kind of give him, yeah, alright, that's alright, because he's talking like that. Although it was very confusing. The Manga Panda translation of this, in my opinion, was almost completely ineligible. It's like when I read the Manga Panda translation, or any translation that's inferior to this one, I usually come across maybe 2 or 3 panels where I don't understand something or it's not as clear. With this chapter, there was like 6 or 7. So I was waiting for this translation to come out, and it makes more sense, but it still keeps the way Nemea talks. That's just the way Kubo's going with it. So I guess this just shows how skilled Oetsu is in his swordcraft, because while he was dodging Harold Valkyrie's attack there, he was, I guess, actually adjusting his sword a little bit, or, compensating for the fact that the forte is a little bit loose there. And the next scene we have, it was kind of interesting. We don't really get to see the blade go into Harold. It's just that this one scene where Harold Valkyrie, I guess, goes to swing at him, and Oetsu just appears, like, right down, well, okay, this scene looks a little bit, okay, I just realized this could go a very sexual way, like he's going down on Harold Valkyrie, but let's just not go there. It's my turn, am I right? Well, I don't know what you mean by that, but you killed me, didn't you? Yeah, sorta. Son of a bitch! Okay, well that just happened. I'm sure the miracle will have no way of standing back up after dying. I mean, you would need a miracle for that to happen or something. Anyway, Oetsu takes down the miracle. He's gonna come back. That's what I'm getting across here, okay? Anyway, yeah, he takes him down and he restates the fact that, don't you guys know who I am? I'm Ju-Kyu, Hachi-Nana, Roku Gome, Hachi-Chi-Kyu, Denso, Toyota. Okay, you know where I'm going with this. They're basically, he needs to have a rap-off with Killer Bee from Naruto, the Fondle Show. Yeah, they need to have a rap-off. That'd be pretty badass. Yo, I'm Eito here, and I'm here to say... Okay, stop. I was gonna do a skit with those two rapping, but I just realized I'm probably gonna offend somebody along the way, considering, last time I checked, I'm pretty damn white, so I'm just gonna stop right here. We'll leave the white rapping to Ice, okay? He's not that great at it, okay? He's not that great, but he's all we got. Except for that Eminem guy that my boss is in love with. But aside from them, they're all we got. Side note, who's your favorite rapper? Not really into the genre myself, I'm just interested in knowing. My sword is one swing, one kill, you dig? It's kinda like that chick from the 2nd Division's bankai, except I don't need a freaking missile launcher strapped to my fucking arm. Sternritter X Illy Barrow witnesses the display, and instead of being, a little bit shocked by the fact that Harold Valkyrie just go down, another testament to the fact he's probably going to be coming back very soon, he's a little bit more inquisiting of just how exactly Nemea was using that sword ability, as he states that the sword itself is actually really rickety and it's just shoddy performance, and he states that he was carrying it around in that big tub of gelatin, so the flaw is really shaky to the point down to its hilt, so there's no way he's going to be defeated by an inferior weapon like that. So, he points his gun directly at Nemea and takes a shot at him, but as you would probably figure, it doesn't go over that well. The blast just gets simply redirected to the opposing branches behind Nemea. Now, originally I thought this was just like the tree itself absorbs Ryatsu, so act like magnetic whenever it comes to Ryatsu. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with Nemea. It's just he takes the shot and the attack is just redirected toward the trees. But no, instead, apparently what happened is that Nemea was just making a simple stance like this. He wasn't putting any force behind his sword or anything. He just, stood like this, and the bullet, traveling probably well beyond the speed of sound at this point, just lightly hit the blade, and the blade was so fucking sharp that without any kind of force behind Nemea, it just gets split in half like that. Basically, if you were to hold that thing up and throw like a banana at it or something, I could just stand still and the thing would get cut in half. I wouldn't have to put any force behind it. So yeah, that's what happens with his bullets. And Lelelo goes through the little bit of oh, there's no way that could have happened. I'm gonna keep doing it again because it's definitely not gonna happen a second or third or fourth time. So he tries that out, of course, and doesn't really go over that well. Nemea does start swinging at this point, though. But he decides to cut right to the chase, appear directly in front of Lily, and cut it down his barrel and his body at the same time. Oh, damn it! And they'll never know that behind my eye was, in fact, the Rinnegan. Yeah, totally, it's the Rinnegan. I never had a chance to show it off, but how cooler would that make this scene? So right up next on the chopping block is Sternritter C, Perdina whatever, with the one with the cloak. Yeah, so it looks like it's about to do something. Its cloak begins to get ruffled, like it's letting out a shout, or breathing in, or breathing out, or I don't know what the hell it's doing, or just agitating its Reiatsu. Its appearance seems to be more animalistic. Some people have been saying it's going to be like a cat underneath it. I have no idea. My bet's on robot. Robot alien. Robot alien from a different dimension. That's also a Pokemon. That's my theory on Perdina. Anyway, yeah, it's about to do something, but I guess Nimaya just chucks the sword directly through it and stabs it right in its head. Then he appears in front of it and knocks the thing down. Alright, so the only one left, of course, is Askanac-Levar. Now, of course, he's the only one that we've seen prior to Chapter 599. We knew he's gonna do some epic shit, so bring it on! Final battle! Nimaya Otso, Askanac-Levar, the death dealing! Let's see what... Oh, okay, well, that was kind of brief, I guess, whatever. Not too shabby. You kept up with the speed of my strikes and left behind me to avoid exposing yourself. Yeah, well, I got exposed anyway, didn't I? Oh, Askin, you living on in eyes and spirit, bro. Right down to the gelled back hair and the strand leaning down your face, and also you're a troll right before you die. Glad to see that spirit still living on. Well, actually, Askanac-Levar is my long-lost son. Don't care! Alright, let's continue. What I love here is it kind of shows just how serious that Nimaya is. He might joke around a lot, but at the end of the day, his job is to protect the Soul King, so when Askin's laying on the ground, and, you know, Nimaya's giving him his speech, and Askin just kind of sarcastically quips back at him, it's still indicating that Askin's still alive. Nimaya's just like, oh, you're still alive? Okay. Just walks right up to him, kneels down, and just slits the fucker's throat. He doesn't care. It's his job. Then begins to explain what the name of the Zanpaktou was that has basically been slaughtering the entire Sternritter elite guard. Well, its name is Sayabuse, and it's a failed creation. Now, this was hinted at when Ichigo, Rayjii, and Kon originally arrived at the Ho-Oden. I believe at one point Nimaya did say that there was such a thing as failed experiment Zanpaktous. That also might have just been a theory that arose whenever Ichigo and Rayjii got knocked into the pit. Before we found out that there were all Sauchi down there, a popular fan theory was that they were failed Zanpaktou experiments. But anyway, regardless of that, there are in fact such things as failed Zanpaktous, and Sayabuse is certainly one of them. It's a blade that is ridiculously sharp, to the point that it can cut basically anything. Even the blood that was soaked on it by Askanac-Levar slipped off. That's just how freaking slick it is. It's basically the ultimate sword in the sense that it would put all other blacksmiths out of business, because it could basically cut through anything. You could give it to a 5-year-old and you could probably cut a mountain in half if you wanted to. However, that's kind of a problem, because you sort of can't have the ultimate spear and the ultimate shield at the same time. You get what I mean? In a sense, you can't create a sheath for this sword. It's simply impossible, even with Nimaya's skill. That's why he had to show up to battlefield with that big tank on his back filled with gelatin. That's the only way to carry this thing around, without holding it in your hand. And it's a problem because you really can't call it a Zanpaktou or a sword without a sheath. Kind of reminds me of the legend of Muramasa. No! Not you! Another Muramasa, the Muramasa of legend that you're based on, but you don't really show up to anything, except that you bleed out of your eyes sometimes, which kind of indicates, just get the fuck out of here. What am I even in here? Okay, now, anyway, Muramasa of legend was a sword crafted that would not be able to be sheathed until it's tasted blood that night. And if it didn't get to taste blood, it would take the blood of its owner. That's kind of the deal I'm getting with Sayabuse. Pretty cool concept. Anyway, Sayabuse is actually pretty lonely most of the time because it can't be used. So Nimaya's pretty ecstatic that he finally gets to use it against Yuha and his band. Also, a little side note here, when Nimaya's directly talking to Yuha, he calls him YH, as if the abbreviation for his name, or like cutting his name in half, sort of like an offensive term or whatever. A fan of mine posted this on Facebook. It's basically the original Japanese version of this, the raw, before it was, translated over. And as you can see, it's YH. So his name is, in fact, Yuha. They originally went from Juhabak to just one word, Juhabak, and then it had a Y at the beginning, like Yuhabaha, and now it's YWACH, I think that's his name, but now it might be even shorter. I don't know. Kubo, couldn't you have just named him like Jim or something? Make it simple. I don't know. Here's the leader of the Quincy's. His name is Jim. Or hell, you want to go with a German name? How about Adolf? Actually, that would have been pretty damn accurate. You could have just named him Adolf, and then everyone would have been like, oh, that's why he's named Adolf. Makes perfect sense. Anywho, last scene of the chapter, Nimaya's about to step forward to Yuha and I guess confront him when he gets a shiver down his spine. I guess that's what this is indicating. He turns around and he in fact sees Askanac-Levar. He's still on the ground, he's still bleeding, but he's still speaking as if he, even has his throat slit, he's still speaking. A blow of this magnitude is nowhere near enough to finish me off. The reason His Majesty took me in is because I just wouldn't die. It's a pretty pathetic ability, don't you think? I have this ability of mine, I can never die. I always feel like I'm knocking on heaven's door.
Okay, so that's pretty damn creepy. Aside from that, I also finally figured out the ability here. It makes perfect sense, actually, now that you think about it. That... Okay, are you ever going to show back up? Like, we need to have a talk right now, okay? We need to have a talk, actually. Okay, I'm not going to take you off the wall, okay? I'm not putting you back up on the wall until you show up in the series, okay? Alright. Just stay there, buddy, alright? Because, you know, whatever. Chapter 666, whatever. You're going back up when you show back up, alright? Where was I at? Alright, yeah, Asuka Naklevar's blood fetish thing. Anyway, yeah, so he basically can never die. He can come close to death, and wounds that he's dealt are still dealt to him. You know, if he gets, you know, stabbed in the heart, he's still going to feel the pain of getting stabbed in the heart. He's still going to bleed, and it's probably going to be very sucky, but he can never actually die. So maybe that's what his ability of the death dealing is. And also, there was a theory that in the Japanese version of it, it's not the death dealing, it's the death dose, or the he delivers like the fatal dose of something. So maybe something poison related. I don't want to say something poison with his blood, because that's more of Giselle's thing. But yeah, I mean, just having an ability where you can't die, that's pretty effective in and itself, I would say. Like, you can't, maybe it's something like you have to be completely incinerated in order to kill him, or something like that. But anyway, I guess what we're going to have now is Nemea taking on Askin as a battle. That would be something, that would be a cool setup. I don't think Harold Valkyrie's dead in the slightest. Or Perdina, because we never got to see Perdina's full face. Harold is the miracle. The only one I think is probably dead is Little Barrel, Sterner X, because we already saw what he could do with his gun. You know, I don't think he's going to get any cooler at that. You know, we already saw what he can do. He did his little badass display. I think he's all right to go down now, but then we'll have maybe Harold Valkyrie take on Ishibe and someone else take on, because we already had Korinji and Shutara's fight, even though if they weren't real. And then Perdina can take on Kiryu Hikifune. That would be interesting. So yeah, that's my theories for the upcoming battles. Hope you guys are cool, chilling out, brah. So yeah, see you later. Tekking101, signing out.